Hi, and welcome to another economic commentary. I'm Stuart Bergman. Well, it's that time of the year again. On June 15th, Export Development Canada released its semi-annual Trade Confidence Index survey results. For more than 2 decades, we've surveyed 1,000 Canadian companies twice a year to gauge their confidence in market conditions and prospects. The result is a robust time series that captures the voice of the Canadian exporter, providing EDC, our customers and partners with timely insights on how Canadian businesses see the challenges and opportunities ahead. So what do our mid-year results tell us? Well, the good news is that after 3 consecutive drops, the headline TCR score increased on its weak 2022 year-end reading, up nearly 5 points since our last survey. Confidence improved across all regions, with gains led by Atlantic Canada, followed by Quebec, the West, and then Ontario. In terms of business size, it was small and large businesses that recorded the healthiest increases in confidence, with the mid-market posting a more modest increase. But while Canadian exporters aren't as downbeat as they were back in the fall, it may not be time to break out the champagne just yet. The composite TCI score is still below year-ago levels and sits well below its long-term average of 72.9. The bounce in confidence reflects a global economy that appears to have made it through what was feared to be a tumultuous winter thanks to swiftly coordinated policy measures, unseasonably warm winter temperatures, especially in Europe, and easing supply chain bottlenecks. While the global economy will likely fare better than expected, this year, growth is still projected to be among the slowest experienced in recent history. It should be no surprise, then, that the biggest improvements were seen in perceptions around domestic and world economic conditions. The outlook for domestic sales, export sales, and international business opportunities, meanwhile, rose only slightly. As higher interest rates begin pulling inflation closer to target, Canadian exporters appear to be more positive about evolving economic conditions than they were back in the fall, but remain only cautiously optimistic around future domestic and international sales. At a sectoral level, the infrastructure and environment sector experienced the largest jump in confidence since our last survey, possibly spurred by the increased focus on clean energy initiatives by many developed market governments. This was followed by the light manufacturing and ICT sectors. The only sector to notch a decrease was the extractive sector, a second consecutive drop as easing geopolitical volatility helped stabilize world energy markets and curb price increases from last summer's peaks. As highlighted in our global export forecast, released on June 1st, after 2 years of favorable pricing dynamics, the outlook for the extractive sector has dampened somewhat. Despite the more upbeat outlook, businesses are still reporting significant challenges. Almost 1/3 of respondents continue to experience barriers to their export and international investment strategies. More than half still report production being impacted by global supply chain issues, and inflation is negatively impacting almost 3/4 of respondents, with half expecting cost pressures to last longer than a year. Additionally, the ongoing campaign of aggressive interest rate hikes, related financial market volatility, and recent instability in the banking sector have reminded us that the outlook remains fragile. Market anxieties are making lenders even more cautious about lending, pressuring the small and medium-sized segment in particular. The balance of views points to a continued trend of heightened expectations around tightening financial conditions, with the Bank of Canada's Senior Loan Officer Survey indicating that lending conditions are already at their tightest since the start of the pandemic. With Canadian employment numbers holding up quite well, access to skilled labor also remains a persistent challenge for exporters. A very convincing majority tell us they're having trouble accessing the skilled labor they need, increasing pressures to hike wages even further. Notably, hiring skilled labor has featured as a top 5 challenge facing respondents in every survey going back to 2021. The bottom line? Improved exporter confidence is welcome news. But despite the increase in our mid-year TCI scores from December 2022, confidence remains below historical levels. What's more, there's good reason for us to expect a sluggish economic backdrop through the rest of this year and into early 2024. The lagged effects of interest rate hikes and tighter credit conditions will constrain some of the key drivers of growth over the next several quarters, testing exporter confidence even further. This week, a very special thank you to Prerna Sharma, Senior Economist in our Research and Analysis Department. As always at EDC Economics, we value your feedback. If you've got ideas for topics that you'd like us to explore, please email us and we'll do our very best to cover them in future editions of the commentary. Until next time, thanks for tuning in.